Hello and welcome to Making Vegan Ordinary. I'm your host Chloe and today I am joined with my boyfriend Chris.
Hello, I'm Chris. Nice to be on.
Hello. Let's start off with why did you go vegan?
Well, that's a very broad topic to start with. Whoa. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Just jump the bat.
I don't think I ever had I never had like a moment where I was like, okay, like I'm now vegan.
Okay.
It was more of like a gradual process for me, where ever since I was little, I didn't really like it, but it was like almost peer pressure, right? Where everybody else is eating like burger and chips and fish and chips and stuff, and you're like, well, my mum and dad do it, so it must be fine. It's like it's weird that you're just eating like another animal's flesh and all that, but
Lovely.
I just kind of like accepted it was the norm and got on with it.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't really till about a year and a bit ago until I started actually like thinking about it a little bit more. Obviously, there was a lot of like documentaries and stuff out at the time. You was having troubles with dairy as well. It was a cultivation of things which prompted it. I started off when you went dairy intolerant. Like you thought you was dairy intolerant, right?
Mm-hmm.
Around the same time, I started going. Let's not like go crazy and go vegan all of a sudden. But I started changing one thing at a time out.
Mm-hmm.
I'd go rather than fish fingers and butties and stuff. Is there a version of this I can get which is like close enough that I won't be interested in buying the fish fingers anymore?
Sure.
Or like the soy-based chicken nuggets. They was a big thing back then, where I could get rid of needing to buy chicken nuggets anymore.
Yeah.
And I even bought stuff like, like soy pieces to make like sweet and sour Chinese takeaways at home kind of thing. It saved money because it's like, broke. And also means I'm not eating animal products. So it was a win on both sides.
Yeah.
And it was close enough that I wasn't interested in having that meat product again.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, frankly, it just got to the point where I had nothing left to substitute. Everything had been substituted. Where it was at the point where I was like, well, I guess I'm vegan.
Okay.
I guess I'm vegan now because I don't have any products left that need substituting anymore. Or I don't feel like there's a couple of things which are really hard to get. Like tuna mayonnaise is like almost. It's very possible to get something that's called tuna mayonnaise as a vegan, but getting something that tastes the same is like not.
Yeah.
And stuff like smoked salmon, like that's something that you can't really get.
No, you can't.
Or not,
Yeah.
can't really get a good one. So there are a few things on my list which like I don't have anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, I don't feel like my diet ever changed.
Yeah.
I just slowly transitioned to a point where I could say everything that was my favorite food before is now still my favorite food. I just make it slightly differently.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I guess that would be how I'd answer the question. Sorry.
That was fine.
I rambled a little bit there.
It's fine. Who/what inspired you to go vegan?
That's a tough question because like I'm not really 100% sure. Partially you, I'd say, because we was trying to cut things out for your purposes because you was in pain, right?
Mm-hmm.
And who inspired you though? Like I guess I've always kind of wanted to, but never had the guts to. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Again, I feel like it's almost like a peer pressure thing, right? Where because it's normalized, you don't question it.
Yeah.
So I don't really know how to answer that question any more than that, to be honest.
Sure. Do your family and friends respect your veganism?
For the most part, I'd say so. Obviously, I live with you.
You do, yeah.
So I don't have any like. I know a lot of people that I see on social media have trouble with like families and stuff that have like still have meat in the house, right? and aren't really, I like joke about it with them and aren't really that respectful of the boundary.
Hmm.
But with it just being me and you in the house, like obviously we're both vegan now, and it's not really a problem. I say I was a little bit worried about Christmas because I was like gonna have to go and have Christmas dinner with parents, and that put me a little bit on edge. I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah.
but it turns out that they bought all vegan food for Christmas dinner. They was gonna do a completely vegan Christmas because I'm vegan, and I couldn't ask for anything more than that. Like people have been more than respectful.
Hmm. Okay. Let's. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. I don't want to ask this, but like I'm gonna ask it, even though you're my boyfriend. I know the answer already. If that's okay with you.
You can ask me whatever you like.
Okay. Cool. So your family, do they still eat meat, or are they vegan?
Well, yeah, you kind of know the answer.
Yeah, I kind of know the answer,
Yeah,
but
they
like
do.
for like people out there who don't know, you know. Okay.
Sure. Yeah, they do. They was gonna do that as a one-off, just to be,
Just because of you.
just to be like clear.
Okay. So in general, do you feel like there's any stigma felt on veganism?
Obviously, that's got two parts for me. There's like the stigma externally when you call yourself vegan. Like a lot of people who are vegan choose to call themselves like plant-based or something, some derivative of that, because they don't want to class themselves as a vegan because they think like ideas of like social justice warrior behavior come to mind, right?
Mm?
Where they think like, oh, I'm just so much better than you, which I think is nonsense. But
Yeah.
that's what it is, and that's how a lot of people look at it. Internally, though, like within the community itself, there seems to be a lot of like division as well, which is even harder to deal with for me because like obviously we share a vegan page, which spun off this whole thing that we're doing right now.
Yeah.
Like I constantly get messages of people going like, "Glad to meet other like female vegans and all this kind of stuff." And I'm like, we're a couple. Like it's like the vast majority of people who are vegan just assume everybody else who is a
It's a
female.
woman. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of blows my mind, and even just probably not 10 miles from our house, right? There's a gym that's like all vegan gym, female only, and it's like,
Yeah.
why are we dividing our own community like this?
Mm.
It kind of makes me like actually angry. Why are we like even within veganism where we're supposed to be all about like loving animals and all this? It's probably the most sexist community that I've ever been a part of.
Yeah.
Heavily against like our side. Like I know there's a few like male vegans that I follow, but it's highly like dominated by women.
Sure.
And it does not surprise me one bit.
Does it not?
Like we're not welcoming to all people, are we?
I don't know. I guess not. I don't really know. I've never had any problems with it. But
yeah, that's because you're in the
that's because I'm in the majority
category of being accepted.
Yeah.
I'm the one who started the vegan page, like we run.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do it for like one pure reason. When I look on Instagram or social media in general, there's one thing that you see, and it's like young female vegans who post nothing but like salad, frankly.
Yeah.
and health food. That's great, and that's what they want to do. That's fine. But that's not what veganism is all about. It's about loving, like, not harming animals. Which you can do that and be unhealthy or healthy. You can be severely overweight or really skinny.
Yeah.
Like it gives off this impression of like, if you're vegan, you have to be like really healthy, and frankly, you have to be female.
Yeah.
It's all nonsense. That's why I wanted to post like, here's this really awful pizza or this like massive chocolate cake, and you can make this stuff vegan. There's literally no reason to have a dairy version for this.
Yeah.
I don't know if that got my point across right, but I think the perception needs to change online. For us to be able to change other people's perception of us, we need to like at least stop stereotyping ourselves.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, talking about community, what would
Sure.
you say to somebody who's just going to start out in the vegan community?
Try and talk to some of us, really, because I didn't really know anything when I started like this journey that we're on. We've gone through and like either discovered recipes ourselves or we've talked to other people to find them. And there's so much more food choices that I never knew existed before this, or alternatives to things which I wouldn't have imagined were possible. Like even today we've posted stuff recently in Starbucks, right? You can get a vegan
Beyond Meat.
Beyond Meat burger
Breakfast,
with like
hot chocolate.
hot chocolate with whipped cream on it, and it's all completely
Vegan whipped cream. Yeah.
And people, even today, people on Instagram are like, "Wait, what? that's a thing?"
Yeah, I think it's that. And then I also think it's some people probably don't have that in their country.
Yeah.
So location-wise, is there a lot of vegan takeaways in the area that you live? Obviously, you mentioned about Starbucks.
I say that we live in the UK, which is probably if not the best, it's one of the best places on the earth right now to be vegan because it has so many options.
Yeah.
I've got a sneaky suspicion China's probably going to overtake us pretty quick because their adoption of veganism is like exploding.
Yeah, it has. Yeah.
But other than that, I think we are one of the best places. I think last time I checked, it was like us in Australia, which was pretty good.
Mm.
So, even that being said, there's one takeaway that delivers to us. Maybe two if you can include like Domino's pizza as a takeaway. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
There's not it's not like you can open Just Eat or like one of these food apps and be inundated with the amount of options you've got. It's still severely limiting.
Yeah.
So a lot of this stuff like Chinese and Indian and some of them will say that they're vegan and then you ask them like if they know what that means and they kind of don't.
Mm.
Oh, yeah. It means it's like vegetarian, right? No.
Yeah.
Like a lot of them don't know what it means. I had someone the other day that didn't know what dairy-free meant. So I take all of the claims made by like small Chineses and Indians with a huge grain of salt because they don't necessarily know what you're asking them.
Mm.
So a lot of stuff like that I choose to try and make myself. Like sweet and sour soy
Korma.
is like a korma from an Indian and all that kind of thing. It's fairly straightforward to make.
Yeah.
Or if you can't be bothered making it, you can like buy
sweet and sour.
The sweet tubs of sweet and sour.
Yeah, I know what you're on about.
Put it with pieces.
Mm.
Put some chips in the fryer. You have 10-15 minutes. You can make roughly what a Chinese would give you.
Yeah. I was going to say, are there any bad experiences you've had being a vegan?
Sorry.
But obviously you jumped the gun there, so, you know.
Yeah, that was pretty terrible. I sat on the phone about a week to 2 weeks ago for probably about 15 minutes trying to ask if a product was vegan. Clearly they didn't know what vegan was because they kept like asking me to repeat the question, asking me what that meant. I finally ended up going like, well, does it have dairy in it? To which they're like, what's dairy? I was losing my mind. I was like, fair enough if you don't know what vegan is,
Yeah.
but you should know what basic allergy requirements are and be able to like answer me whether they've got allergens in.
I
But
agree, yeah.
they didn't. So I was going absolutely ballistic in my head. Like I wanted to eat the food, so I was trying to get an answer, but by the end of the conversation, I just didn't eat it because I didn't have any confidence that the answer I got was even correct. I got told like certain items weren't like safe because they had milk in them.
Yeah.
Essentially it was just like a waste of 40 quid's worth of food.
So in regards to like takeaways, do you think they need to have a better description of what they're cooked in?
Yeah, it's one of those things where I don't necessarily expect everywhere to put like big vegan labels over every product, but it's basic stuff like, well, can you at least have like a list of ingredients so I can check whether there's an
You can eat it or not. Yeah.
whether I can eat it or whether it's going to have something I'm allergic to. Like especially considering like, frankly, we've both been vegan for a while. I like whenever I accidentally have dairy, like I can tell, like it hurts for like my stomach, and yours is worse because you're actually slightly allergic to dairy.
Yeah.
And it's not always obvious whether it actually will have dairy in or not. Like you can get stuff like some people, if you buy sweet and sour while you're on holiday, some people do put dairy in for some reason. Like it doesn't need it, and there's no reason that it would have it in.
Yeah.
But people do stupid things when they're cooking.
Yeah.
So as soon as you've had a spoonful, I'm like, that's not quite right. That doesn't taste as it should.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I don't know if that answered your question. I'm sorry.
I think it did. Yeah, I guess yeah, because you said that you think they should but shouldn't at the same time. They should have like a recipe, like a list of what they give to you type thing.
Yeah, as I say, everyone's not going to become vegan overnight.
No,
and this is a long cultural shift that's going to take decades, if not more than that.
Yeah,
like centuries maybe before this gets like completely adopted by people, if it ever does. So I'm not expecting everyone to be like, my product is vegan, or like this isn't vegan on every product.
Yeah.
But I should expect as a basic thing to be able to go on to Just Eat or something and be able to see what ingredients they've used for each product.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Because even people who are like gluten intolerant and stuff like that, like it must be a nightmare for any kind of
allergy
to go through. Because you just really can't tell.
No, you can't. No, especially on Just Eat, you can't tell. To be honest with you,
like
some of them have like the small description in it, but the majority of them don't.
That doesn't necessarily help you, because I ordered like it was
mushrooms.
It was under like fried garlic mushrooms.
Yeah.
And it said like they had like the type of mushrooms and all this kind of stuff and what was in the sauce. And they turned up and they had like a bread batter on them, which had dairy in.
Yeah.
And it's like, but that was nowhere in the description that's what it was. It was just, I just thought I was ordering fried up mushrooms.
Like a stir fry.
Nowhere in the ingredients or in the notes was like, this has dairy. Like, it just, and when you ring them to complain about it, they're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
This is just how we do business. It's like, well, why would I ever think that like fried mushrooms would have dairy on them?
You wouldn't.
I specifically ordered that because it wasn't like a meat product.
Yeah, because normally when you order vegetables or say mushrooms, you wouldn't think it would have dairy in it.
No.
Unless it specifies that it has dairy in it, then obviously you wouldn't order it.
Yeah, well, yeah, obviously if you usually describe that by saying it's got like a creamy sauce, don't they? If you see anything that says something like that, you're like, that's got dairy in.
I can't eat that.
Yeah. But when they don't, and it's just like they've put a breading on it for no reason before they fried it. It's like, well, how would I have known before I ordered this product?
You
Short of ringing up every single restaurant before you order, like, and just becoming an absolute nightmare to people. There's no way. There needs to be an actual ingredients list like you'd have on a product in a supermarket under every takeaway, in my opinion.
Yeah. So let's move on to. I'm going to ask you about supermarkets here.
Oh.
Are supermarkets clearly labelled when it's vegan? Or is it not?
In what respect? In terms of like online or in terms of when you go in?
Let's say when you go in.
Okay, so I think when you go inside, it's fairly clear.
Okay.
Like they've got like a whole department for like vegan stuff in the UK now. If you didn't know, there's an aisle in the supermarket for like vegan and plant-based.
Mm-hmm.
So all the stuff for the food cupboard is all in one place. There's a meat section for like the vegan alternative meats. It's like at the end of the the end of the meat aisle.
Yeah.
There's like a specific section for it all. And then there's also like a fridge section for vegan stuff, which includes all your dairy, cheese, and all that kind of stuff. So there are specific sections in a supermarket for it. I'll say I asked that question because like the main problem I've got with things like that are when you try and shop online.
Yeah. The only reason why I asked is because do you remember that incident where I walked into a shop and I picked up a sandwich because it was in the vegan section and came home and it wasn't vegan?
Yeah, it was vegetarian.
And I had that cheese and it hurt my stomach for days.
Not to be too rude to you as the host, but it did clearly say on the back that it had dairy in it.
Yeah, but it was in the bloody vegan product section, wasn't it? I do normally check the back of stuff, to be honest.
Like, it did have a ingredients list on it, so like it's hard to be too annoyed about that.
No, I know.
Like,
that's kind of my fault.
Yeah,
I should have double-checked.
They could probably have labelled it better, but it did have that it had dairy in.
Yeah, but it was the same. It was the same packaging as the vegan stuff.
Yeah, I think the vegan and vegetarian stuff they usually just put in green wrappers. That's the problem.
Yeah, it stresses me out, to be honest.
It's kind of hard to tell sometimes.
Okay. Okay. So as for if you're ordering something online,
ordering online is one of my hugest pet peeves that I've got, like, imaginable. Like, there must be about 40 million folders to go through to find all the different vegan foods if you shop in the supermarket.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable how complicated they make it. Even if you're not aware of what these places are, like, the main places we shop are Asda and Tesco. They're both big supermarket chains in the UK.
Yeah, if you're not from the UK, you probably wouldn't have heard from them before. Or you probably would have, because I think Asda was part of Walmart at one point.
It used to be, I think.
I don't think it still is.
I think they split off now. I think they sold it a bit ago, didn't they?
I think
anyway,
so.
That's either here or there. Who owns the supermarket that we're talking about? What was I saying?
So,
right.
Takeaways. You're talking about the two shops we mostly shop at is Asda and Tesco's.
Right, yeah, okay. So the big problem I have is they kind of have, very frequently they'll have a seasonal vegan section, which has a very limited amount of products in it.
Yeah,
and
like a minute for Easter.
They have, like, let's call it categories, right? So you've got, like, your food cupboard, you've got your frozen, all this stuff, and then there's vegan, which has probably even less in it than the seasonal, which is how, but let's just go with it. There's this category with even less. Then you go back to categories, you click frozen, there's another vegan section in it.
Yeah.
Okay? And then that's just got not even all the things that are vegan, but it's got some very specific, like, meat alternatives that go in the freezer. Then you go back up again, you go back to just a frozen. Yeah. And then if you say you want some chips, that's a perfectly vegan product. You'd think you could just filter the entire catalog by only show vegan stuff, right?
Yeah.
Every product has got tags associated with it, so it should be trivial to do from a programming point of view. But no, under no vegan section in the entire shop can you buy a bag of chips.
Yeah.
Or peas or carrots or, spring rolls or anything that you'd want to get. Baked beans,
rice, pasta,
bag of potatoes, spaghetti. No vegan section in the entire of Tesco or Asda has any of this. You can't get any. You can't get anything. It's literally just very specific plant-based alternatives to like sausages or bacon under them. And it's like, why do I have to go through this like circus act to be able to find what I want?
Yeah.
And I have to go through all of the non-vegan stuff to find stuff which is vegan and I want to order. It's like, why go to the effort of making a vegan category and not have everything that's vegan within it? It's just it blows my mind how much of an easy fix it is and how they just haven't done it. They go as far as to let you filter by vegan stuff only on a specific, like, you have to click into frozen, then click into like
filter.
I don't know, like
filter.
Fish or like whatever it is within frozen or veg.
Yeah.
Then you can filter it by vegan.
Yeah.
Like, why not just get rid of all the vegan categories and just let you filter the entire thing by like dietary requirement? I just don't. I just don't understand why they are doing these really obtrusive things to try and be able to do an order online.
Yeah.
It like makes it incredibly difficult because every time I close or reopen a subcategory, I have to reapply the filter. So I must do it about 60 times when I'm trying to do an order. Like that's probably a pessimistic estimate. It's almost every time. Like if you click into a product to have a look at it, you have to redo it. It's like it just borders on insane. And even bearing the fact that vegan stuff appears under fresh meat or fish, like those categories have the vegan fish under them, not vegan category.
Yeah.
So it's even worse than you'd imagine because you have to scroll through all of the meat to be able to find what you're looking for, which not only is like gross, but like you could very easily end up ordering the wrong thing. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that was my rant of the day. I apologise for that.
That's okay. You've ranted twice already, so just keeping track up here somewhere.
Okay.
In my bubble.
Yeah, that's one of those. That's just one of those like pet peeves that I have every time I do a shopping order. I'm just like, this is dumb. Like, you could pay off for a tenner on Fiverr.com and like do a better website design than this. Like this is like the worst design I've ever seen. The only explanation I've got is that they've got a system they don't want to pay to make it better.
Yeah.
So they're just retroactively like bolting on stuff, and it needs redoing.
Yeah.
It's the worst. It's the worst shopping experience you could ever have.
Yeah. So, okay, staying on the topic of like deliveries, has there been anything in your delivery before that you thought, why have they sent this? Or I can't eat this?
I think I know where you're going with this question. We ordered from Tesco the other week, didn't we?
Yeah,
it was probably like
2 months.
It was probably like 2 months ago.
Something like that.
We ordered the vegan
chicken and mushroom pies.
Puka, is it?
Puka pies.
Puka pies. They do like a vegan chicken and mushroom one, and they didn't have any in stock, so they sent us actual chicken pies.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure Chloe's changed this so she can have a laugh.
I did, yeah.
Like
Oh.
actual non-vegan chicken pies. It's like, are you guys like even awake when you're picking this stuff up? It's like,
Yeah.
why would you ever? Sorry, the vegan sausages were in stock, so we just sent you some like actual meat sausages. God.
Yeah, but you just wouldn't, would you? You
No.
just expect they'd if we ordered the other vegan one, which I think we ordered the other vegan puka pie at the time,
Yeah, we did.
and
I think the other one turned up, didn't it?
that one turned up, and then they gave
Yeah.
us the chicken and mushroom. Or I think we ordered 2 chicken and mushrooms, so we got 1 vegan and 1 non-vegan. And you were like,
Yeah.
What?
Obviously, they run out, and the guy just picked up the next closest colour matching thing.
Yeah. To be fair, though, they're not even near each other in the shop. Like, if you remember when we went in the other day, they're nowhere near. The vegan section's like completely not even near that section. Yeah, it just doesn't add up to me.
The guy was clearly like sleeping through his shift.
Yeah, props. Okay. So, as for, I'm going to say call them accidental vegan products. Is there any accidental vegan products that you think or you'd recommend for people starting out to try?
Say
if they don't want to make the big jump of going vegan.
I mean, the problem with like accidentally vegan, I don't really like that term because like the fact that something doesn't have animal products in shouldn't be like, oh look, it's accidentally vegan. It's like, no, it's just still just a product, just like all the others. It's like, just like when people call like Bourneville and stuff, because obviously that's vegan. It's not accidentally vegan. It's just a vegan product.
Yeah.
Is there any that people wouldn't necessarily know about? I mean, I'm thinking of quite a lot of stuff, but it's like very hard to just throw random ones out. Like if we're talking about like snacks and stuff, obviously like Texas barbecue Pringles, like chocolate bourbons are still vegan most of the time.
Yeah.
Obviously Bourneville, like most dark chocolate, obviously check the back, but most dark chocolate's usually fine.
Yeah.
Then I don't know. Like, there's a lot of things that are vegan, whether or not he's trying to think of whether they're accidentally vegan or deliberate. Like, there's a lot of things which are intentionally vegan, which I didn't know I could have. Like, obviously, vegan mayonnaise is like something that mayo is something I thought I'd never be able to have again. But you can buy vegan mayonnaise. You can get
you can. Hellmann's.
You can get vegan versions of stuff like honey and all of these things where you think there's no way you could get. There is all options for this stuff, and it blew my mind just how many like even just options for cakes and stuff to buy.
Yeah.
Like especially online, it's like, why are people using dairy and eggs and all this stuff if there is actually really basic, simple ways of making a cake without them? It's like that's what kind of still messes with my head. It's like, it must be cheaper to do it without egg and dairy. The ingredients that you make them with last longer, so you don't need to throw the cakes and stuff out quite as quickly.
Yeah.
You could argue that the taste is slightly different, but let's face it, when you make a cake, the texture's all that matters, and the rest of the flavour really comes from like sugar. And it's not like you can't add sugar to the cake anymore.
No, yeah.
You can get the texture almost exactly the same with like a vegan egg supplement and soy milk.
Yeah.
So if it lasts longer, tastes around about the same, why is anybody making cakes the way they do? And all of these things, the products you see in store, I just don't understand.
No,
Like,
yeah.
You can make your products last longer and like cost less, but you know, dairy industry.
Yeah.
No doubt that they get like massive cost reductions and stuff by bulk buying from big dairy like companies.
Yeah.
So it probably will work out cheaper for them. But like if you work out like making a cake at home, like the vegan one is cheaper.
Yeah.
Like substantially.
Yeah.
I don't know if that really answered the question. I don't
know. I was
think
trying to think if I answered the question. I was just saying, is there any products you'd recommend for like people just starting out that is accidentally, in quotes, accidentally vegan, but they are vegan?
I'd say in answer to that is, if there is a product you like right now, there will be something that is almost the same. Like, I'm not saying maybe there will, like there will be.
Yeah.
Like it's been my experience from being vegan that there will undoubtedly be something that is practically the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. Is there any?
Obviously, I'll check the comments of the video after. So if there is something and you don't know of an alternative, I'm happy to like look in the comments later and try and answer that. But,
yeah.
I'll try and give you one. But it's a little bit of a hard question to answer like blind.
Yeah. Sorry, kind of just throwing out there to you.
Well, I don't know. It depends what you like.
Yeah. Is there any food you discovered since going vegan that you didn't know was vegan?
So when you're asking me this, do you mean there's anything that like I didn't know existed, or like something I didn't know was vegan? Because those subtly different questions.
Second one.
Something that I knew existed already, but I didn't know was vegan.
Yeah. And then we'll go on to the other one after.
Not really. There's nothing that I didn't know, other than stuff which you're calling like, accidentally vegan and like bourbons and products off the shelf. There's no like actual dish in a restaurant that I'm like, oh, that didn't have meat in it, really? Wow. Like, that never happened. That they almost all have meat or dairy in them.
Okay. Well, I'm thinking more of a packet of something that we eat every single night. We're obsessed with. Begins with S, ends in an R, has noodles in it.
What, like super noodles?
Yeah. Did you know super noodles? Because obviously not all of them are vegan. Not all the super noodles are vegan. I
kind of already knew that they didn't have chicken in them.
Okay.
I never really thought like, oh, that makes them vegan. Or, like, it never really occurred until we actually went vegan. It never like twigged that like, wait, what is actually in these?
Yeah.
Like, I thought they were supposed to be chicken noodles. They have no chicken in them at all. Like, it's good now. It means we can still eat them. But like, as someone who was like, you know, when I wasn't vegan, I'm sure I should have put a bit more thought into that what I was actually consuming.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
It means I can now still eat them, but
yeah. Yeah. Go on then.
No, I'm done. Sorry.
You sure? You don't seem done. You don't seem done.
I was gonna say there's nothing that like blew my mind in terms of like going to eat at a restaurant.
Okay.
Like, the options I pick at restaurants now are similar to what I'd had before. Like Frankie and Benny's is one great example, right?
Yeah.
Where you can go there, you can still get like what they call them, like carbonaras or like burger and chips, or like I think they do. Do they do like a vegan fish fingers and chips now for kids? I think they do.
I think they started doing it just before lockdown hit last year.
You can essentially order all the same stuff, but it's not like, oh, burger and chips at Frankie's turned out to be vegan the whole time. It's like, well, no, it's not. Yeah. It's you can just order a version which is close enough that I'd never care about ordering the other one again. So that was the main thing for me. It's like, it's not necessarily the fact that you can have the same thing, but it's like, can you get something which is close enough to the same thing that it doesn't like it used to be before I was vegan, right? Sorry for going off on a tangent.
It's all right.
Where I'd see people and I'd be like, well, I don't want to stop having burger and chips, so I'm not going to go vegan. right?
Yeah.
Or I don't want to stop being able to order a hot dog, so I'm not going to go vegan. That was my thought like years back, right?
Yeah.
But when you change the discussion there to I'm not going to have uh, I'm not going to be vegan because I want this burger and chips
Yeah.
over this burger and chips, and they taste almost the same.
Hmm.
Well, it becomes a totally different, like completely different conversation
Yeah.
where you have to like ask yourself, like, is it really worth letting the animal die for like next to no difference? Like yeah, you can taste the difference, but like, is it worth killing an animal over like? Oh, I can just taste. Yeah, let me taste the other one. Oh yeah. I think this is the meat one. I think this. Yeah, you see people doing these taste tests and going like, oh yeah, I clearly got them all right. It's like, but you were sat there for 20 minutes
Trying to
going
work
from
out
one
which
to
was
the
what.
other, trying to work it out, and you're like, you're gonna let an animal die now over like. Oh, you were so close that you had to sit there and like think about it.
Hmm.
So I think that was like a big part of where, like obviously I came into it slowly, but like the more and more like I got into this mentality of when I started changing stuff, I started realizing, like, oh look, I can get almost the same flavor, taste, and texture profile
Yeah.
from something from plants. Like this is no longer I still want to be able to have a burger and chips. This is I'm choosing this one over this one,
Hmm.
and I just couldn't justify it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I just couldn't justify that position.
Sure.
Anyway, go on. Ask your next question. I'm sorry.
So my next question is there any food that you've discovered from going vegan that you didn't know of before, like existed? So pretty much the one that you were asking me earlier. The one you asked if that's what I meant. That's what I meant
Sure.
now.
Obviously, I'd never had anything like tofu before going vegan. I know a lot of people have and they're not vegan, but it's something that I'd never ventured down.
No, I didn't either, to be honest.
I can't say like I'm a huge proponent of tofu. Like it has its use cases, right? A lot of places will do stuff like sweet and sour tofu as takeaway, and I can't say I'm a particularly big fan of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that I found was like soy, honestly, and just how versatile it is, frankly. Because if you have tofu pieces in anything, you can taste tofu, right?
Yeah.
We buy like 3-liter bags of chunks of soy.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, soy chunks. Yeah.
You can get them like on places like Amazon.
Quite
And
cheap.
literally, they're like dehydrated soy protein.
We'll put a link in the description to that. For people
Sure.
to have a look at.
Sure. But basically, you put it in water for like 15 to 20 minutes. It like rehydrates it, and then you can just do it in a fry up, and it tastes very, very similar in like texture to like chicken does. Yeah, we use it for stuff like dirty
fries. You think of
fries.
dirty fries and I could really fancy a pack of them dirty fries with soy chunks.
Like whack some chips in the deep fryer, fry up some soy pieces throw a bit of barbecue sauce on that, and that's like
pretty nice.
Something you order from a takeaway or.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So I do. Just the versatility of soy, I think, is something that I never really understood. Because you can create like yogurt from soy, like you can with cheese. You can have milk from it, which is the same as you can do with.
You're on about soya,
milk, right?
aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Soybeans, right?
I just wanted to confirm what you're on about because you said soy chunks, and then I was like, what?
Yeah,
soy
but
beans.
That's made from soy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, yeah. I guess it is. Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty ridiculous just how much you can get from it, and most meats you buy are probably based on some kind of soy protein. Do you know, like the plant-based meats in like Tesco and Asda, as we were discussing?
Yeah.
Like they're almost all based on some kind of pea protein or soy protein.
Yeah.
The pea protein you can taste, so it's really obvious when they use pea protein. But soy is like a marvelous material.
Yeah.
Because it tastes of almost nothing. right?
Yeah.
It's like you can texture it to make it taste like chicken or beef or whatever you want it to taste like by how long you leave it and all this kind of stuff, like how tough it'll be. But it tastes of almost nothing,
Yeah.
and you can, with it being dehydrated, you can make it take on almost any flavor you want it to with just spices. So, as a cooking ingredient, it's amazing. It's like having pieces of like beef or something, but you can keep them permanently at room temperature for like a year, like in the next to your pasta in the cupboard. It's like why was we buying stuff that needed to be frozen before this? I don't know, but
Yeah.
we've got like a 3 liter bag that'll last till after like November.
Yeah.
Still, with
Yeah.
like not even halfway through. Take like a cup for a meal.
Yeah.
So yeah, just the versatility of some of the products you can buy, and how long you can actually stock up really well with a lot of these products. You can order like liters at a time and just keep them.
Yeah.
It was something until we're going vegan.
You said liters. Liters
Yeah.
of what exactly? You're about liters of soy chunks or liters of soy or liters of what?
Any of them, right?
Okay.
You
Sure.
can buy loads of all sorts of different products now.
Yeah.
Whether it be stuff in tins, whether it be bags of soy pieces, like right, you can keep so much more food that doesn't spoil as quickly.
Yeah.
Versus say let's take us back 2 years when we was like still eating meat,
Thanks. Yeah. Sure.
right?
Okay.
You just couldn't do that. Like after 2 weeks, all of the meat would be gone, and you'd be on to like other food that you still had, right? Which frankly was probably vegan.
Yeah.
You can't just keep like a steak in the fridge for 6 months.
Yeah, you can't do that.
But like the alternative stuff, you kind of can.
Yeah.
With very specific stuff when you're making from raw ingredients.
Sure.
Anyway, if you start going for like what they called prepackaged stuff, like they do also have short dates on them, but I like to try and buy like a big bulk of the raw ingredients and make them ourselves, right?
Yeah. Sure.
Then they last like forever.
Pretty much so, yeah.
It's like we don't necessarily need to do a shop for like 3 or 4 months sometimes. And we've literally gone that long occasionally, haven't we? We've been like
We did last month, to be honest with you.
I don't think we need to do a shop this month. We've got enough in. We'll just keep eating it.
Yeah.
It's like, could any, even though there's only 2 of us, like if you weren't vegan, I don't know how you could go 2 to 3 months without doing a shop.
Yeah.
It was crazy. It's something that I'm so glad, just irrespective of the moral arguments with animals and all this stuff, it's just functionally, it's just made it so much easier. Just to do a shop or to just go about our life and not necessarily be worried about, oh god, we're going to run out of food, it's all going to go out of date. Like, I just don't feel like I worry about stuff like that anymore.
Yeah. Sure.
In quite the same way as I used to.
So my next question is, what is your favourite dairy alternative?
Oh. As in any product at all here?
Dairy alternative like milk, etc.
Oh, okay.
I
was gonna go to Alpro yogurts, but
no,
I guess I won't.
we'll keep it simple. We'll do dairy products as in like dairy alternatives, milk and all that first.
Okay.
We can go down yogurts and all that if you want to answer it. Yogurts, cheese.
Well, I guess I've answered it there.
Oh, you did. Yogurt.
The chocolate Alpro yogurts are great. I love those chocolate Alpro yogurts.
I think all the Alpro yogurts are pretty nice, though, to be honest with you. Let me just throw that out. I think they're all pretty nice.
Okay, so milk, I'm like, milk's another one of those things where it like, how do I word this? Like I thought milk was just milk.
Okay.
And milk was milk, and you put milk with your cereal, and you put milk on your coffee. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there was just milk, and that was it. And as soon as I went vegan, I was like, well, why are there like 40 types of milks? And obviously, people who aren't vegan take the piss out of it.
Yeah.
I see that all the time. It's like, well, look at them with the like 13 different milks for each
I think
thing.
there's more than that,
Well, like
to be honest.
Yeah.
There's like hem.
There are some things which I like. Like I like
Coconut.
hazelnut milk quite a lot. I put it in things like coffee because it gives the coffee like a really nice nutty flavor, which obviously I don't want in my cereal.
Yeah.
And obviously, like you can't just buy that and expect to use it for everything like you can with milk. Like if you want something you can buy and it'll just work with everything, soy is the perfect one. But there are other ones with subtle flavors like almond milk, oat milk, and hazelnut milk. All have their own pretty distinct flavor.
Yeah.
That all work well with like hot drinks or things like that, right?
Yeah.
I also quite like rice milk. Like I really, really like sweetened rice milk because it's so thin. It's like it is what it is. It's like the consistency of water.
Rice. Yeah.
It's which has been like left in a lot of rice.
Yeah.
To put it, I don't know how else to explain it, but it's really
perfect.
it's like a really, really sweet water that's like really, really light. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
Whereas milk's kind of got a bit of viscosity to it. It's literally if you pour it, it's like tap water.
Yeah.
So just drinking it on its own is like I think is absolutely lovely. And it doesn't make you like filled up like if you have like a milkshake.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I can feel that on my chest. Like that was a thick milkshake. You never get that with rice milk. It's like you've just had a glass of water and it's actually cleansing for a milk. So yeah, I'm gonna have to give you a really lawyery answer of it depends.
Nope, that's fine. I was going to say because I cook
Like-
personally with coconut milk.
Oh yeah, coconut
But
milk.
depending on my mood is depending on what I drink. Sometimes I want hazelnut, sometimes I want oat, sometimes I want soy. Sometimes I'm like, oh, the chocolate milk out of the chocolate Alpro milk I'll get out of the fridge, or the vanilla Alpro milk, or there's so many different kinds of milks that vegans can have.
For recommendations to people, I usually say soy because it's so it is almost as universal as dairy is. Frankly,
Yeah.
you can put it with almost anything and it'll be all right.
Sure.
But as I say, like the nut milks, like oat, hazelnut, and almond, I usually like them in hot drinks. Soy, I usually like with cereal, or if I'm doing like a really, really unhealthy milkshake or something in a blender,
Yeah.
I'll chuck like ice cream with like soy. Because it frankly just because it doesn't really have much of a flavor profile, so like the other ingredients you add don't have to compete with it. Like you don't have to put more of something else in to counteract the flavor of it. Whereas, if I'm just drinking it raw, it'll either be soy milk or rice milk, depending whether I want something light or whether I'm like I want something really thick.
Sure.
And also depending what we've got in the fridge, If we've no rice milk in, I'll go for the soy milk. I'm not going to feel too bad about it.
Sure. Okay.
But that's like, oh sorry.
No.
I was gonna say that's another one of those things where like before going vegan, I wouldn't have ever dreamed that you could have these other flavors. So
yeah,
it's even if you're not, it's worth like trying them because they are actually subtly different to what dairy tastes like, and they add something to the drinks.
Yeah,
it's not an alternative for milk; it's something else, which is what kind of annoys me when people are like, why do you need so many like milk alternatives? It's like, well, they're not. They're better than milk. They actually have flavor to them, and people like or dislike them, just like Marmite, right? People don't have to like the alternative, but like they have to recognize that it does taste different to milk,
Yeah.
and it actually adds something to your coffee or your tea or whatever.
Hmm?
Anyway, sorry.
I was going to say, what products or foods do you miss?
Oh, well, I think I've already touched on this. Like smoked salmon, I used to really like.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've tried a few times. Like I know people have said stuff like you can do, like you can make something like that with like
Yeah, with
carrot.
carrots. I have no
And
idea how to do that.
it, like the people I've seen talking about it, like it's never been anywhere near close enough where I've felt like this is actually worth doing. So I've never found like a good enough one. I think there's one in Tesco now, which I've not tried. But every time I go in, it's never there.
Okay.
So I'm on the lookout for like the alternatives for it. But like up until now, I've never had something which is stringy and like peels in the same way, because it's such a unique, like a
Thing.
unique to fish thing, that like specific thing.
Yeah.
Frankly, stuff like that it doesn't upset me too much because I'm kind of waiting for, lab grown meats to become more like accepted.
Yeah.
I know a lot of vegans are going to disagree with me on this, which is fine, and we can disagree with each other. As long as no animals are being killed, I think I'm more than happy to have like lab grown meats.
Sure.
Obviously, I don't know about you, Chloe, but the sooner that can become more normal, the better. Like, imagine a world where we can just grow fish and grow meat, and frankly, even our cats wouldn't need to have
Meat
animal
and-
products anymore. Then,
Yeah.
like, we could see a world where we could completely transition away from it, and it'd just become financially stupid to run a farm, because you can just grow more meat in a day than you can grow the amount of animals, because you have to raise them from birth, right? It's not like a small task. I think that's the only way the industry is going to change.
Yeah. Okay.
We can shout and protest as much as we want, but until it becomes just fun, like somebody else outcompetes dairy, and somebody else outcompetes someone for cow meat. If somebody can make the equivalent of like 4 or 5 lifetimes worth of cows in a year, and it takes like 5 or 6 years to have a calf and make it bigger, they'll just become irrelevant, and people, their prices will become so high compared to somebody else's, nobody will use them.
Yeah.
So I'm all for the lab-grown meat revolution that it'll come on, because I think it'll essentially just be cheaper. Obviously, there'll be what's it called? There's like a curve, isn't there? Whereas like the price is high initially because it's like R&D costs, but then it'll curve down as time goes on.
Yeah.
Essentially, making all the people still eating the same products vegan, which is what it is today.
Yeah.
But it's obviously subtly different because you're not actually eating cow meat anymore.
Sure.
You're eating like soy protein or something. But as I say, give it 10 years, I fully expect you to be able to order like lab grown meat in the same section of the supermarket as like the vegan stuff, or next to it, or around, and it'll slowly, 20, 30, 40 years maybe, it'll just the actual meat will be in that section, and then everything else will be like lab grown because it's so much cheaper. Everybody will transition to it.
Sure.
Price talks in our in our economy.
Sure. It does. Is there any obscure products that you didn't realise wasn't vegan?
that I didn't realize wasn't vegan.
Yeah.
As in, I mean, yeah, there's quite a few, which really stresses me out. Like toothpaste for one. It's like, why? Like, what? Why does toothpaste have to have animal products in it? Like, they can make it without, and then they just throw it in there.
Yeah.
Especially in other stuff. Like, I know if you're a vegan watching this, when I say like, why did they just throw milk randomly into certain products? I'm sure you've got 5 in your head right now. The main one for me is like salt and vinegar Pringles, something like that. It's like there's there's nothing dairy about them. I can see my screen wobbling. It's because I'm that angry. I'm hitting the table.
Okay.
Yeah, stuff like salt and vinegar Pringles, or there's so many products which just have milk in as like a emulsifier.
Yeah.
There's so many other things they could use instead of that, and just make it vegetarian and vegan. Like I only thing I can imagine is that they're getting some kind of cost saving because like they're getting the dairy cheap. Like
Yeah.
Pringles have vegan options.
Yeah, I don't
Yet
understand that.
They decided to add dairy in. Like obviously they know there's a market for vegan products, or they wouldn't make them.
Yeah.
but then certain products just have milk thrown in, and there's nothing to do with actual dairy about the flavor.
Yeah.
So it must just be the cheapest way of. I think emulsifier is the right word. They just be being the cheapest option.
Yeah.
Hopefully that won't remain true forever.
Yeah.
But it's so infuriating. But it's weird. There's a lot of products that we now don't have, and there's absolutely no reason why they couldn't be vegan.
Yeah.
You could make them at home with the same recipe and just replace the dairy.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. My last question is going to be, what advice would you give to somebody just starting out?
Didn't we do this one?
No.
I feel like it was a similar question.
It probably is a similar question.
I don't know. Like, get involved with the community, I think is what I'd say. And start talking about it. Because I feel like the biggest problem is a lot of other, like, movements and such have, like, pretty good communities behind them. And I really don't... I feel like a lot of the vegan community is just a lot of single voices trying to shout quite loud rather than
come together.
A community of people who are actually like passionate about this stuff. And but by us not grouping together and into some kind of community, all you end up seeing and all people outside of the community see is the fringe, like more nutcasey type people. And that's what they associate all of us with.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
That's why we have a really bad, like, obviously there's arguments to be made like, they just they know we're right, so like they're judging us, and I don't. You can think whatever you want about arguments like that, but I don't feel like as a community we give off a particularly good impression that will make people want to join and say, yeah, I'll try that lifestyle. I feel like there's support in place for me to like learn how to do that and be more compassionate.
Yeah.
It's just like, how awful a person are you? Like, how dare you? Like, you people that they're the kinds of people that like are at the forefront that other people see. So yeah, I'd say just find community out there and try and get involved, and try and talk to people more rationally. Like obviously, like shaming people is a tactic, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, how many times have you been shamed into changing how you think? Like, it doesn't happen, right?
No.
Like it just makes people feel bad, and then confirm that in their mind they just confirm that you are the bad guy,
Yeah.
and then they just rationalize what they're doing by saying, well, these people are awful, I'm not interested in that.
Yeah.
So we need to be like a bit smarter about how we do these things.
Sure.
So yeah, community, like, it'll help you because you can reach out and ask people for like all different ways of and alternatives and all this kind of stuff, and it helps all of us by trying to slowly, one at a time, change how people think
Yeah.
about all of us. Because I'm sure all the stereotypes on veganism don't apply to me, and I'm pretty sure they won't apply to you either, Chloe, because I know you quite well. And most of you watching, I bet they don't apply to you either. So let's show people who we are and why they should join us.
Sure. Let's do that. Thank you for joining me today, Chris. And
No.
I will see you guys in another podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Thank you for watching Making Vegan Ordinary Podcast. I'm your host, Chloe, and I will see you again next week with another new podcast. Make sure you come and stop by our Twitch channel. The link will be in the description below. Yeah, thanks for being here. Bye, guys.